The starting point for all of our conversations comes down to connection. Because we cannot motivate, influence, or inspire anyone unless we connect with them first. And when we look at the opportunity of the questions that we can ask in our conversations, I think this is so important because the quality of our questions will determine the depth of our connections. And after 2 decades of studying human behavior, and truth be told, 22 years ago, I was going to be an investment banker, and then decided to pivot to pursue a passion to connect with and interview people for a living on camera. Mom and Dad had some questions. But after 22 years of interviewing people for a living, whether that be entrepreneurs, authors, celebrities, philanthropists, I can share that there are 3 common questions that I've observed that we all ask ourselves the first time we meet someone. And those questions are, do you care about me? Are you listening to me? And can I trust you? And the value of these 3 questions and having our leaders, our colleagues, our customers and clients say yes are crucial right now. This value is crucial at a time when workplace connection is a challenge across the board. Because if we look at some of the challenges that are existing in our industries right now, and we look at Canada specifically, Stats Canada pointing out in the past couple of years, 40% of Canadians identify as being lonely, lacking that meaningful human connection. And what that means at work is lonely workers are twice as likely to take a sick day compared to connected workers. 5 times as likely to miss work due to stress. You know, in the US, Cigna did a fantastic study on this, measuring, well, how does this translate to our bottom line and our productivity? They found loneliness is costing companies in America alone every single year $154 billion in lost productivity due to stress-related absenteeism. And as we enter the month of May, Mental Health Awareness Month here in Canada, this conversation is crucial as well. Because you see that study by the UKG Workforce Institute, 3,400 employees across 10 countries. 70% of these employees said their manager, their leader, has a greater impact on their mental health than their doctor or therapist and equal to that of their partner. Like, how many of you in this room felt like a therapist over these past few years for your people? Yeah? How many people needed a therapist? Yeah, sign me up. But here's the complexity of leadership today is that leaders aren't just managing roles and responsibilities. They now need to manage energy and emotion. And it can be exhausting. And if we look at the performance enablement report that just came out from BetterWorks that has this performance management software, 90% of senior leaders feel their performance management process is on point. Yet only 55% of employees agree. One of the biggest gaps, 2 in 5 say they lack access to those critical conversations, whether that be peer feedback or one-to-one conversations with their managers, and it is crushing their growth. And you might be listening to me talk about the power of connection saying, yeah, I get it. All right, connection is important, but look, you know how much work we have to do now? Well, if we do not make time for connection, I believe we will have to make time for misunderstandings. Because the research shows 90% of the time we'll send a text or email, we think we are being crystal clear. Yet 50% of the time that message is misunderstood. So how can we begin to level up the quality of our conversations? And I think about the conversations we have when we're meeting somebody for the first time. What if we have no context of the person in front of us? You create this beautiful experience with conferences and events, and you want your delegates to connect. Well, how can we create positive emotion in our conversations? And I credit the work of the late psychiatrist Gordon Livingston on this. And for context, Dr. Livingston's work focused on the happiness equation. And if we have no context of the person in front of us, Livingston found that the happiest people have 3 things in common. They have something to do, they have someone to love, and they have something to look forward to. So imagine we're meeting someone for the first time. You get through the formalities. What is the thing that makes you come alive? What are the relationships that matter most to you? And what are you looking forward to when you leave this room here on May 1st, 2024, what you're going to create in the year ahead? And there's even an opportunity in our responses because half the time we're in autopilot mode. We check in at a networking event. Hey, Deborah, how are you? Good, good. Yeah, all right. Awkward silence. But imagine the word we could give as our response to change the narrative on the script. If we could replace our response instead of good, choose a different word. How are you? I'm optimistic today. I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I'm struggling. That word, our response, is an invitation to amplify the emotion and take that conversation deeper. Years ago, I remember being in the green room before we went out in front of the cameras for Breakfast Television in Vancouver, and I had a leader that was set to share her wisdom, and we exchanged formalities, and I said, you know what, just give me one word to share where you're at before we go out there. And she just looked at me and she said, I'm feeling flawless. And I was like, damn. I'll have what she's having, okay? And in that initial exchange, the power of our questions takes that rapport deeper. And when we do have that rapport, and we're connecting with our colleagues, maybe it's at a conference, maybe it's a regular meeting we have, how can we ask first and talk second? And ask the questions that ChatGPT cannot answer. Because the beautiful part about AI and technology is AI is beautiful for brainstorming, but human connection is necessary for breakthroughs.